So I thought I'd just pop on and talk about something that I heard a lot of people talk about, and I think everyone's experienced before, which is pretty relevant this week, which has to do with just dealing with family and all the different things that go along with the energetics of family and the holidays. And so you hear a lot of people talk about their family is either annoying or it's a hassle to be with people, and everyone can relate to that, whether you have a good family or not. And so I think there's a lot of things, especially on this path, that are really hard to integrate into family because it anchors us into who we used to be. And just like anyone that we know, we're anchoring people from our past into who they used to be by seeing them as memories. Pretty much everything that we see, not pretty much, but every single thing that we see is a recreated memory that's playing itself out. And even when we see new stuff, which doesn't happen as much as you get older, but we end up only seeing the memories from the past. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do to kind of get out of that. And if you want to figure out what someone is doing in your life, just figure out what they are wanting from you and figure out what you're wanting from them, because the desire is the thing, like Buddhism talks about, where it's the thing that's going to cause a lot of pain. So anything that we want is what causes pain. If we don't want anything, then it doesn't matter if we have something or don't have it. So in relationships, validation, happiness, money, love, sex, everything basically is stuff that we want. And so if you look at it in a certain light, then life becomes this game. At least for myself, I try to look at it as a game. I know that people who have been practicing these different Eastern philosophies on letting go for thousands of years have figured out different ways. But to me, especially to people in my generation, games, video games, and all sorts of games are just a good way to relate to things. And so when I'm interacting with someone, say like today, I was out driving around doing some Christmas shopping, and this lady pulled out in front of me, and I almost smashed right into her. She just pulled into a really fast-paced lane, going really slow. So I honked at her. Well, it turns out she followed me to the grocery store I was going to, and she was really upset, and she had a lot of stuff she wanted to say. And so, like the natural inclination is to invalidate people who are upset with us, or invalidate people who aren't supporting us. A lot of people are talking about how you just need to fill your lives with someone who supports you, and you want everyone to be on your team, and that's good for people who have goals and ambitions and desires. But when we're trying to get out of those and trying to let go of our desires, then it's not really that beneficial to be around everyone who treats you really well and supports you and good vibes only and all this stuff. It's actually kind of the opposite, where the things that are coming up are reflections of your past, and they're showing you who you want to be. And so if someone gets upset with you, I can't really deny that I crave, when it comes up, confrontational energy. If someone is upset with me, I like to antagonize them, or I have in the past, and kind of rile them up, I always like to see people get riled up, and a certain part of my fight or flight was fight, and so I would kind of want people to get riled up so I could get riled up, and in doing so I could release a bunch of energy, right? If you know what you're doing, then a confrontation can end with just like a breakup, one of the two people ends up getting all of the energy and being weighed down by it, and the other person is relieved of it. And so, as an example for today, not that I'm some guru or Buddha on any of this, I'm learning it the same as I'm talking about it. But when I get out of my car and this lady starts yelling at me, a certain part of me wants to invalidate her. Well, all that's going to do is make her feel worse. Because if she's acting that way, she obviously already feels invalidated. She's already judging herself, or someone invalidated her and she believed it, so she's upset. And she wants to put that on someone. And you can follow your own life path. You don't have to follow anything that I say, because I don't know the answers to anything. I'm just toying around with the life that I have, seeing what works and what doesn't. And so I've been spending, the past couple of years trying to figure out, well, what if I can take it on? I used to try to solve people's problems, but that doesn't work. And it was just an effort to avoid solving my own. But what if people are putting their problems on me? In our modern world, especially this spiritual, new age, pseudo-spiritual yoga society that we have, everyone wants to be loving and caring, but nobody wants to be around bad vibes or negative energy. Well, that doesn't work out very well, because everyone is projecting that they're okay, and everyone, for the most part, is in a lot of pain. And so someone has to transmute energy, right? And so I went into the grocery store. This lady was saying this stuff to me, and at first I was just like, okay, which again is a form of invalidation. Even the eyebrow raise and the eyeball thing, it's all just like, you're an idiot. And not justified. But then, she had 2 little kids with her. She couldn't walk very well. And she was my age. And it's Christmas Eve, So she obviously she's got some shit going on. And she wants to be able to relieve herself. This is going to happen whether we want it to or not. It happens all the time if you go out in public. All the time with friends. All the time with family. And so when holidays come around and people are looking to unload, a lot of people see themselves as the person in the family who gets unloaded on. Might be true, might not be true. You might be the person doing the unloading. Again, there are 2 different things to practice on: not unloading and being able to transmute what's getting unloaded onto you. And so, and it's awesome because the stuff that it teaches us is like priceless. I mean, you learn humility. The ability to be wrong and to not defend yourself is priceless, because everything that you've ever wanted can come from not defending yourself. If you want to be at peace, then don't defend yourself. You're not going to get in an argument if you're not defending yourself. And people are just playing out their past, like I was saying. It's memories, memories, memories. And so, around the holidays, when you go see family, people are going to be projecting your highest highs and your lowest lows onto you, and that's how most people remember you. And if in the past they played victim to you, then they're going to keep milking that. It's normal human just energy displacement, because there's no way to communicate about this stuff in the modern world. And there's definitely not a lot of talks about the energetics of transmutation, right? If people are acting in a negative way towards you, it means that they are in pain. And so, well, what do we do with that, right? Like this lady says this stuff to me, right? My stomach clenches, my heart beats fast, I get all like, I start to think thoughts, and my thoughts start to invalidate her, and they start to validate myself. And the ego comes in, and so what do? Well, I don't have all the right answers. I don't even know if any of these answers are correct, but I can share with you what I do, and hopefully you can share with me what you do, and hopefully we can figure something out. But for myself, I walked around the grocery store, right, and this lady's just eyeballing me everywhere, every aisle I see her, and she's just like, oh, she just wants to kill me. And all I did was honk at her to make sure that I didn't T-bone her, but that's not how she saw it, and who knows what's going on in her life, from my opinion, and again, this might not be true, but every person is a projection of exactly what we imagine they would be. And so there aren't, um, there's people are exactly what we think they are. Every person filling every role is the type of person we imagine would fill that role. And it rarely gets expanded because of our pictures about how reality works. And so I just, I try to figure out what to do with the energy, right? It's making me uncomfortable, but a certain part of me likes to be uncomfortable because I know that there's a bunch of options there. If I'm feeling comfortable, it just means that I've transmuted the energy before that. So I'm doing okay. I figure every single day we're given certain amounts of energy at the correct pace for us to be able to transmute the entire reality, where by the time that we die, every single thing that we would need to transmute it to let go of this reality, we can. And if you don't want to, then don't. I mean, again, like I said, I don't know if you've gotten really rich and your life is just about orgies and arrogance, and you've gotten everything that you wanted and it's working out for you, it makes you happy, then I'd love to hear about that. I've gotten everything that I ever wanted at a young age, and I've also faced not getting a lot of stuff. And so I had a lot of different memories to draw from in terms of realizing that there's nothing to do or get that's an answer, including happiness, including being comfortable. So my reaction was to go up to this lady, face the heat, and just apologize to her, you know, and and the first time it didn't even work. The first time she was like, "No, oh, you don't even live here." She was a local Hawaiian woman. I live in Hawaii, so sometimes, you get that whole thing where she thinks I'm a tourist and thinks that I'm just, and not to deny that the tourists, kind of siphon off a lot of resources unconsciously. And if I was Hawaiian, I would definitely be overwhelmed by it. So then I went up again and I apologized to her, And I'm not saying I'm a saint or anything. I'm definitely not. But at the end of the interaction, she was apologizing and she felt warm. And we were talking about, wishing the other person Merry Christmas. And so it's easier with a stranger, maybe. Depends on the family member. But with parents, they're like the final boss battle in the whole game. And they're going to judge you. I mean, your parents might see you as a 4-year-old. They might see you as a 7-year-old or 11-year-old. Your siblings might see you as someone who stole their food at dinner. I don't know. There wasn't enough rice-a-roni to go around, and that stuck in their mind when they were 6, and so you're always going to be selfish and a liar. That's okay. That's their excuse to be able to act the way that they act, to be able to deal with the pain and the victimhood they're holding on to. So if we're able to take that, it doesn't mean you have to look at yourself and be like, I am an asshole. I did do this. I am. But it does mean that, somebody is going to have to transmute. Someone is here to be able to handle the energies that people are saying to each other. So if someone's like, you're an asshole, you're a greedy bitch, and all you care about is yourself, some people are. And those people are parts of us. And so if we're going to be able to do it, if you really want to be able to transmute aspects of yourself, take that on. Think of yourself as an asshole. Think of yourself as a liar. See it from someone's perspective. And then imagine that it's your job your opportunity to transmute that person. And so if you're the one who lives inside of this asshole body, and you're an asshole, and in your past, someone said you're an asshole, and it hurts your feelings, that means you think you're an asshole. On one level, at least you have some stuff to clear up. So these are awesome things. It's just so awesome because we run away from everything. And I know firsthand. I grew up in Iowa, and then I ran away from a ton of my problems and moved to Hawaii. Well, it doesn't work, you know. You're still the same person because you're still weighed down by the definitions of who you are, the definitions of what people have said to you and what you've said to yourself in your head. So take them on. Take them on. Take the blame for everything. And watch how, as you do, the people around you will start to melt. And if someone can do it, then everybody wins. And again, we don't know what the afterlife is. We don't even know what this life is. We don't know what dreaming is. We don't know what the internet is. I mean, every single thing that we think is just, it's not even an opinion. For it to be true, we would have to know an infinite amount of stuff for sure, and we don't even know anything for sure. So the only thing that we know is what we're actually experiencing, and a lot of times that has to do with clenches in the body. It has to do with physical reactions. It has to do with fears and emotions, and so those are the things that we can play with. The rest of it, I don't know. Who knows if we went to the moon? Who knows if we're going to Mars? Who knows? Who knows? After we die, who knows? You know? I mean, every single person has a different answer unless they took their answer from someone else. And there's not a lot of ghosts walking around telling us what's going on. So I think it's kind of fun to play with it. If we don't know, then you get to decide, right? And so, you know, these holidays, the best gift you can give someone is people want presents, and they want presents because the presents give them emotions, right? You want what do people want? I don't know. A car? You want a new car? That's a bad example. You want a Nintendo. Let's say you want a Nintendo Switch. Okay? Well, you want that because you think that it's going to make you feel good. You think the experiences are going to be exciting, and you think you're going to get a lot out of it. Well, ultimately, what you want is to feel a certain way, and anything we circumstantially get is only going to circumstantially make us feel that way. And if it succeeds, that means it won't be able to do it again, at least lesser, right? And so eventually we're going to just, you know, the whole point of everything I've ever talked about has to do with the ability to create your own frequencies, to generate them, because everyone is walking around poor, frequency poor, lying to each other, cheating each other, hoping to get money and sex and validation and just everything. And the point of all that stuff is so that we can feel a certain way. Relationships, all that stuff's to feel a certain way. You want security, you want validation, you want warmth, you want compassion, you want love. Well, again, I don't know any people who have a stockpile of this stuff, you know? But once you learn how to do this, in a way, you kind of do, right? You can kind of generate this stuff. If someone says something to you and you don't like it, and obviously, you know, easier said than done. It takes time. It's not, and I'm not claiming that everyone's like, oh, you're a dick. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Thank you. It's not like that at all. Honestly, my percentages of not reacting are 25%. And it's been a decade of bringing it up from zero. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll take another 40 years. Maybe it'll take another 20 lifetimes, if that's even real. I don't know. But what we can do is we can know that if we argue back, we're just passing poison back and forth. And as we pass it back and forth, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And if you win an argument, this is like the worst, most fucked up thing. If you win an argument, you convince someone else that your pain was their fault. And most of the time we're arguing with people we care about. And so we end up hurting the people that we care about so much. And all we do is convince each other that it's one of our faults or someone's to blame. And there's no blame. There's nothing that can go wrong because there's nothing that's supposed to happen. If your ideal idea is, you know, like a Hallmark Christmas idea, then you're probably going to be disappointed because when you include anyone else in your reality, their variable is just as valid as yours. So unless you all sit down and set the intention and remove any of your fears and resistances, then it's not going to be exactly what you imagined it to be. And that's what causes people to get upset, expectations, right? So That Osho book I was talking about in my video yesterday talks so much about allow. There's not you can't even have anything more important than allowing. It's not like you could be, well, I'll allow this but not that. I hear people say that all the time, like, like meatloaf. I would do anything for love, but not that. It's like, that's not love. That's circumstantially liking something, and that doesn't work for anybody, because that just means that you'll treat someone in the way you would want to be treated if they give you stuff, and if they don't, then you won't. We have a lot of that on Earth. We don't need any more of that. What we need is people to be able to give for no reason, not to give validation, not to feel good inside, not to have people talk about it, not to relieve their guilt. Just give because that you don't want anything. And if you don't want anything, I know this sounds ridiculous, honestly. If you haven't been working on this, then the concept of giving up everything and, it's not necessarily like you can just do it in a day. But there are things that help you, let's say, invalidate the stuff we want, right? Money. We have sayings like money is the root of all evil. Who knows whether it's true or not? Greedy people, you could say, are the root of that. I don't know. But, so you could use that saying to let go of money. You don't want to be evil. And who knows if this stuff's true? Every single thing could be used as a permission slip, right? And so I guess that's the whole point, is permission slips end up being the thing. And we use permission slips inefficiently. And so, you got into Harvard, here's a permission slip to be successful. Well, there's other people who have completely failed and use it as a permission slip to be successful. So every single thing can be a permission slip. And if you don't have a desire, then whatever comes up, you can focus on making it into a permission slip to let go of something else, right? Over the holidays, play a game Monopoly. You lose. Instead of being bitter and holding it against the person, just allow. Because it's completely possible that we're all just one entity, one being that split itself into all these different things. And we have to play out every single lifetime. So every other person is a past or future life of our own. In which case, if we can lose to other versions of ourselves, and we can be okay with that, then two versions of ourselves win. Every time we win, other people lose. And we can't control if they're okay with losing. And we all know the guilt and the shame that comes along with winning, and someone else is playing victimized by it. So that doesn't happen. You can control what it's like to lose. And losing's awesome, because the more that you lose, the less that you associate winning with happiness, and happiness with satisfaction. Again, it's one emotion that, this magical white stone mammal walking around seems to think is good. We have a lot of those, right? So eating garlic bread is awesome, but it's not a life aspiration. And so I guess it's just stuff to think about over the holidays. People are going to project onto you. Everyone is playing a role in life where they're acting like they're more okay than they are. Another perspective that's helped me a lot is that if someone is treating you bad, or someone's projecting onto you, I like to think of the thought of that at that moment, I'm an angel, whatever that is. And that person, I'm the only person who that person feels like they can show that part of themselves to. And if I can handle it without reacting, without judging, then that person is healed permanently. That's what therapy is, right? And so, again, I'm not that good at this. I'm notorious for my overreactions. But it helps. And when you can find a couple things that helps, then it turns into a game. And then your negative emotions are invalidated because you're not running around trying to be victimized and scream at everyone they need to give you free stuff and that they need to feel bad about how you feel. And, the world right now is super excited about the idea that we can blame other people for our problems and blame other people for how we feel and being victimized and stuff's not fair. That's not true at all. To be a victim is a choice. You can also choose absolutely every single thing that happens to you to let yourself grow from it. And as long as people are, well, there's a lot of people exploring being a victim right now. And it feels good because a lot of people's insecurities are being projected on specific things, and in a strange way they're feeling like they're being heard. And we all want to be heard. I know if you're watching this video, you probably want to be heard. Because if you didn't, you'd probably be in a different part of YouTube. You'd be watching people drop balls off dams or watching late night interviews. But you're here. And so anyone who's watching these videos is probably going to want to be heard and seen, because we all do. And so just remember, you might not ever be seen. You might not ever be heard. There's no soulmate out there who's supposed to hear you and see you. And if they do hear you and see you, it doesn't necessarily mean, one, that you can have it, or two, that it even matters. Because we're really wanting to be heard and seen by ourselves. And the past versions of ourselves have been hurt. Our childhood versions of ourselves have been hurt. And so you're not going to get your current partner or your current enemy to hear your side of stuff, and then you're just going to go home and you're just going to become a better person. It's not going to work that way. A lot of what we need to do has to do with going back into our past and seeing the people who hurt us as in more pain than we were, and us retaliating against them is one of the saddest things that exists, I think, because people who hurt us are calling out in pain. They want someone else to feel the way that they're feeling so they're not alone. And we can all relate to that. And so if someone wants to make you feel the way that they feel it. But don't be in resistance to it. If someone hates you, if someone's mad at you over the holidays, it's okay. Just let them. It's not about good vibes only. The good vibes only they're for younger people who are using other people as their circumstantial cushioning. But if you're really trying to be that white dot in the black part of the yin-yang, then you know that you don't have a lot of support around. And so you don't need to be surprised by the darkness everywhere. The best you can do is kind of learn how to become excited. Expect yourself to be in the darkness and expect yourself to love it and to love the people in it and see past the pain. You can love anyone. You can forgive anyone. And if you can't, it means that you are benefiting on one level from the victimhood. It means that putting them in that position of being responsible for your pain, you're getting something out of it. Or playing weak, you're getting free handouts. And so, I'm not invalidating all pain, but in a way I am. Yeah, for sure. Some stuff takes time to get through. I'm not denying that there's certain pains that you can't get over. I mean, I was cheated on in the past 10 years, maybe, to get over fully. I didn't have the tools that I have now, but I mean, but it's all perspective. And if I had the perspectives now, if I had the perspectives then that I have now, then I would have saved myself a lot of years of being victimized, a lot of years of retaliation, hate, hurting people back, cheating on other people because I felt like I deserved it or I was stuck on the energy. These kind of things are they're dead ends that you have to eventually go back down and clean up everything because you made a disaster yourself. So, hopefully over the holidays, the presents that you get aren't going to be material. Hopefully they're the interactions that you have with people, and if you're lucky enough for someone to project onto you, then allow, because that person can heal right then and there, and so can you. That humility is going to it's just going to help you in the end, because if someone treats you badly or says something negative about you or tries to make you feel a certain way and you handle it correctly, you just learn how to handle that energy forever. And it's just think about that. There's not that many energies. And so the joy that comes along with that is just awesome. And I'd like to talk about more of that in the channel. I guess this is a channel if you watch them in a row. But either way, I just hope this helps. I'm not spending any holiday with any family, so I had it easy with the lady in the grocery store. But, bless her. And hopefully you guys all have really good holidays. And I'd love to hear about any of the confrontations that you had, or the potentiality to transmute the energies. And if not, just have a Merry Christmas. Aloha.